All that and more tonight on Park Avenue Metro. First up, one of the most astute, interesting men I know, Neil McKenty. The former priest is not exactly a slick, blow-dried TV pretty boy. Mitsumi Takahashi found out how Neil McKenty got where he is today and what's made the journey so fascinating.
Think of Neil McKenty, and you think of his booming voice and signature slogan, "The lines are blazing." But he's an unlikely media star. Born 60-something years ago into one of the few Catholic families in a small town in the heart of Orange, Ontario, Neil McKenty spent 26 years as a Jesuit priest. Along the way, he trained as a historian and wrote a highly acclaimed biography of former Ontario Premier Mitch Hepburn. He left the Jesuits in 1970 after reaching what he calls an impasse in his spiritual life. A help wanted ad in the Toronto Globe and Mail brought Neil McKenty to CJAD as Director of Public Affairs in 1972. The first time you were sitting in a radio studio and they gave you the headset and you were sitting in front of the microphone, what were you thinking?
I wasn't all that comfortable doing what I was doing at CJAD. I wasn't all that comfortable with editorials, sort of telling people what they should be thinking or what they should be feeling.
McKenty felt more at ease in his role as host of the phone-in program Exchange. As McKenty often says, he was born talking.
When I was in high school in Ontario, a little town called Campbellford, when I was about 16 years old, I hitchhiked to Peterborough and I did an audition for the radio station in Peterborough. But my dad, of course, put the kibosh on anything because he said, "You are not leaving school at 16. So there was a hankering for radio way back when I was a little kid.
So if things had been different, you could have been a morning man in North Bay or something somewhere?
Or maybe a smaller place than North Bay.
But there was nothing small about McKenty's success at CJAD. He was a far cry from the usual fire-breathing demagogic hotliner. He was the voice of sweet reason and said the real exchange was among listeners. In 1985, Neil McKenty made another major change in his life. He left CJAD to complete a biography of a man who had profoundly influenced him. John Mayne was a Benedictine monk who rediscovered the role of meditation in Christian life.
I wondered how much being a successful broadcaster and being the host of Exchange had to do with the real, was there any Neil McKenty apart from that? I was greatly relieved after I made the decision, after careful thinking, by the way, and careful discussion with a number of the people whose opinions I trust. I left this very, very good job at CJD, and I found there was life after radio.
Indeed, there was. Once the John Mayne biography was published, McKenty took on a new challenge: television. He's the host of McKenty Live, a daily open-line program seen weekday mornings on CFCF 12. The day begins early, and Neil brings his own rather intense brand of Jesuitical rigor to a morning routine in which everything is timed to the minute he steps into the waiting limo.
I think that's a joke, and I enjoy that. We enjoy that. The limo's half as long as the street. I'll tell you, Mitsumi, I don't take that very seriously. I can't relate to the fact, really, that I'm some kind of celebrity. I'm impressed not so much by the people who have names, but by ordinary people who have grappled with a serious problem in their lives and have come through a winner.
McKenty enjoys a simple lifestyle at his home with his wife, Catharine. Married for 17 years, they met at a social club in Toronto. It was love at first sight, and McKenty proposed 5 days after they met.
I think Catharine is a very classy lady, and sometimes she gets annoyed with me, and I get annoyed with her, but fundamentally we share a great many values in common. But there's some kind of spark there that has just got warmer over the years. My boss, Red Foster, used to say, when because he came to our wedding. He said, "McKenty, I don't know how you ever found a wife like that." He said, you know, and I still wake up in the morning and I don't know how I found her. But she's very important. And also the whole matter of meditation and our relationship with John Mayne, who of course died in '82, has added a richness to our life.
Neil and Catherine are deeply involved in continuing John Mayne's work, but they never proselytize. Neil believes in separating his personal and professional lives. Most CFCF 12 colleagues are unaware of his involvement in communicating the message of Christian meditation.
I think I'm a lot easier to live with. I think meditation has a lot to do with that. And Catherine says, and others who know me quite well, say that I have changed a lot in the last 10 years.
Neil grappled with the relative merits of television and radio at a recent address to the St. James Literary Society.
Radio, you know, unlike television, which is more cumbersome, is, you know, you walk in, it's clean, flexible. And one of the things that I liked about it was that I could wear my old clothes. I could wear my old clothes, which I frequently did. My wife thinks one of the best things about being on television is not only do I wear reasonably good-looking clothes, but they're given to me, for God's sakes.
Neil McKenty's wardrobe is provided by Henry Marks, for which the viewing public should be eternally grateful. You should have seen what he looked like before the makeover. Coming up